This is Laura, and this is Stuff I Find Interesting. Today we're going to do something different. We are going to talk about gold. So today's episode is all about gold. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I went down a rabbit hole. Nothing new there. Number two, I've been fascinated with gold since I was a kid. And number three, gold kind of makes the world go around in a lot of important ways. And also, there's still a lot of treasure out there. So, for all of you with a dollar and a dream, you can go out there and you can get some treasure. So again, my name is Laura. I'm from New York. I like to talk about things that are interesting. It can vary. Today, I'm going to be talking about gold, however. So, I had this 55 gold facts, and I got really excited about it. The ocean holds 20 million pounds of gold. Ooh. If your jewelry itches, it's not pure gold. Ah. But then it says, the gold presently circulating in the market has been around since 1910. 75% of the gold in the market today has been extracted from over a century ago. And I go, okay. But then we have drinking gold and emeralds for the bubonic plague. That's actually true. But then we go down here and it says, as of 2009, it has been estimated that humans have mined around 190,000 tons of gold. 2/3 of this amount has been mined since the 1950s. Well, that contradicts the other thing I just said. So, I don't know. You can read this. It'll be in the links. You can take it for what it's worth. I think some of it's bunk. Some of it's cool. I don't know who the heck's writing these articles these days. This is like terrible. I'm like, I don't know. Okay, so let's get in the mood. Okay, we got some gold. Got some gold. All right, let me put my hands on it. It's not real gold. So let's see, we've got some gold stuff. This looks like kind of tacky, not stuff that I would really be into. But gold and luxury mean different things to different people and different cultures. This is, I don't know. This is kind of cool. It's a divan in a little kind of thingy area. Okay, so now we're fully inspired, right? Fully inspired, ready to go. Cibola, the 7 cities of gold in Coronado. Now, Cibola and the 7 cities are part of those cities that used to be on the maps of where New Mexico is now located. And those cities are no longer there. Nothing is there except for, some pueblos, not to minimize their impact or their historical, what's the word I'm looking for? I have no idea. Historical contribution? Okay, anyway. I was thinking about the next thing I was going to say as I was saying the current thing, and then my brain separated. And then both things went out of my head, so there you go. So this is about the 7 cities of Cibola. And they are the mythical lands of gold that the Spanish of the 16th century believed existed somewhere in the southwest of North America, comparable to the better-known mythical city of El Dorado. No sites matching the descriptions of the European explorers who first reported them were found, but these launched an expedition which destroyed many others. So the 1500s went out there looking for gold. We made all the natives sick. They died of smallpox. We destroyed parts of their land, digging stuff up. By we, I mean the modern world. And so Coronado, his expedition did not result in anything. So this goes into some more expeditions, but I like this one. This is a longer read. I like this because it tightens it up a little bit. El Dorado, the truth behind the myth. Now, interesting story, quick story time. I was told that in boot camp, Marine Corps boot camp, there were going to be times when I was going to be uncomfortable or, having a tough time. And so it was suggested that I memorize poems that I could like say in my head if I got like really stressed out. So I didn't use them when I got really stressed out, but I'll tell you, I did use them when I was on the pull-up bars, because back then, the women in the Marine Corps, you had to pull yourself up and you had to hang, and it was called a dead hang. The men had to do pull-ups. I think the women have to do pull-ups now too. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've been in. Anyway, so when I would do the dead hang, I would recite the poem El Dorado by Edgar Allan Poe in my head. So as I'm hanging, I'm going, "Gale bedight, a gallant night in sunshine and in shadow, a journey long, singing a song in search of El Dorado." And I still remember it all these years later. So anyway, Columbus's arrival was the first chapter in world-changing clash of cultures. It was a brutal confrontation. The European myth that arose of El Dorado as a lost city of gold waiting for discovery by an adventurous conqueror encapsulates the Europeans' endless thirst for gold and their unerring drive to exploit these new lands for their monetary value. The South American myth of El Dorado, on the other hand, reveals the true nature of the territory and the people who live there. For them, El Dorado was never a place, but a ruler so rich that he allegedly covered himself in gold from head to toe each morning and washed it off in a sacred lake each evening. So this guy goes out to try to find out what the truths are behind the myth, because remember what I always say is there's a little kernel of truth in pretty much everything, right? So he's going out there to find what's going on. And I don't think he has rickets. I think he just has his leg at a weird angle. So at the story of this El Dorado myth is a rite of passage ceremony carried out by the Muisca peoples who lived in central Colombia from AD 800 to the modern day. So it talks about how the people that lived there valued gold, like a lot, but in a totally different way. To them, gold was what the gods wanted. The gods wanted the gold. So for them, it was precious because they could offer it to the gods, and the gods would then give them blessings in return. So it was seen as a very sacred, very important thing. So what they would do is they would get their gold, their piles of gold, and they would throw it into this lake. And we don't know exactly what lake it was. I'm reading this to myself as I'm talking, and it was a little bit more complicated than that. There was like incense burning, like east, south, northwest, and there was the priest would raise up a flag, and then they'd go out on a raft, and then you throw your gold into the lake. So El Dorado, and some of these things actually have been recovered. A lot of them have not, though. For example, it's not there. This is an example of something that's been that they've actually found. But there is a lake somewhere with a bunch of gold in it, possibly in New Mexico. I don't know. Go get them. Gold in feces worth millions. So there's gold in poo. Who knew? So an American sewage treatment plant, there was like this this sort of experiment. It was tested to see if there were levels which could be worth mining. And also the mining of the poo, they could extract all of the harmful chemicals that are going back into our environment, the microplastics, the pharmaceuticals, whatever else people are putting into their bodies, right? Now, red dye number 40. So it's minimal, but if you have enough of them, you get gold. So this is something that that they're looking at. In a previous study, another team of scientists calculated the waste from 1 million Americans could contain as much as $13 million worth of metals, including gold. That's a lot. Drinking gold was a grisly anti-aging trend of the 16th century France. So people used to drink a gold mix, thinking that it would keep them young. Today we use creams. Back then they used a tonic of gold chloride mixed with diethyl ether. It likely killed her. And by her, I mean de Poitiers, who was the mistress of Henry II. And she used to use it on her face. And she actually was a very beautiful woman, and she was a very beautiful woman for a long time, but it probably had nothing to do with the gold. It probably had to do with the fact that she was just a beautiful woman. It was also used as a salve for warts and ulcers. China alchemists wrote of gold as being immortal and that those who drank it will enjoy longevity. The ancient Egyptians swore by gold water as an anti-aging remedy too. The idea stemmed from the fact that gold did not corrode, which suggested longevity. And this goes into drinking gold. And apparently we tried to kill people by making them drink gold, molten gold. We poured molten gold down people's throats in the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. You can keep reading. It's a good article. These are photographs from California's gold rush miners. And to get us in the mood for this, check this out. You're going to love this. I found my little scale thing. Let me make myself bigger so you can see this better, because this is cool. So this is a little scale thing. And then there are these little weights, right? So you take your gold, and that's too big. Let me take this thing off, if I can. Man, that's okay. I don't care. All right. We got a little gold thing, right? Let's pretend. That wasn't supposed to happen. Let's pretend this is gold. Oh, wow. Ooh. Jeez Louise. Okay. All right, I swear. Butterfingers. Too much coffee. Like the older I get, the more sensitive I get to coffee, I swear. Okay. Oh, no. Okay, that's not it. Okay, let's back it up. Let me find a smaller one. Ooh, let's do this one. Nope. Okay, let's try this. Nope. Here we have an amusing video in which Laura does dumb shit for like 20 minutes. Oh man, I'm about to give up. Let me try this one. Really? Let me do this. There we go. Sort of. Okay, well, you can kind of see how it would work. The gold would go on one side. You had like these little weights that were marked and professionally done, so that if what it said was really what it wasn't like made up. It was monitored, much like money is monitored today. You know, the weight of gold. And so you would have this little pouch out in the field, and you would bust it out. You probably would not have actual gold pieces. You would probably have probably like dust, right? Like dust. And I love gold so much, and not as a metal, as a geological phenomenon, that I make jewelry sometimes too. I put an antique gold weight on one of my necklaces because, I don't know. It's cool, right? Okay, moving on. Let me make myself small again. Okay, now we're inspired, right? We're all in the mood. Check these guys out. These El Dorado County, California, circa 1855. They are outside of their house. The kids look like they had a hard time standing still. For these types of photos, you had to stay completely still, I think, for like 20 minutes. Otherwise, it got blurry. So you had to get your position and you had to stay. This guy has a picture of, it looks like probably a male relative, I would imagine. Portrait of a California gold miner with a daguerreotype and letter, circa 1852. California gold miners with cabins, circa 1852. This is the type of store that made a ton of money during the gold rush because people were in the middle of nowhere. Most of them had nothing. By the time they came up over the mountains with their stuff, they had very little left except for the things that they were going to use to actually mine for gold. So they needed provisions. And these stores would rip these people off big time. Big time. It's how Levi jeans started. Levi started selling jeans to the miners and got rich. Ooh, look at this guy. This guy's fancy. I like him. Lyman Alvinson Rundell in a mining-themed shirt, circa 1855. That's a cool picture. I got to save that one. We're going to save the picture. Oh, I can't save it. I'll have to save it another way. Here's another store, drugs and medicine. These are places that were being thrown up all over the place because they needed, places to live. This is a portrait of a Chinese woman with a daguerreotype. River mining. So you got like mountain mining, river mining, sluice mining. There's different kinds of mining. This is what I mean by gold dust. So here's a guy with his mining pan, and there's little like kind of flecks in it. And that's what you would you'd pour into your little pouch, and you'd give it to the guy, and he'd put it on the thing, and he'd say, yep, that's 4 ounces or whatever. Here's the town. As you can tell by the back, it's pretty dug up. It's just being built. This is kind of blurry. People moving around, doing their thing. This is Sacramento Street in San Francisco. If you've ever been in San Francisco, you know it looks a lot different, especially up on the top. Dresser and Company, California gold miners, 1852. Gold miner, 1850. The Great Man Has Fallen, 1856. I'm not sure what that's about. You can look it up. California gold miners with rocker and sluice, circa 1850. That's pretty cool. I like those pictures a lot. How the California gold rush of 1849 began and what life was really like for the miners. I'm going to leave this for you to read. But there was some stuff I wanted to talk about because it was a lot of fun. So there was this guy named Mr. Sutter, and he had 2 employees, and he built a sawmill on the South Fork of the American River. So they're doing the sawmill thing, and in order to excavate things a little bit more, they turned a powerful current of water through it. And when the sand was washed out, the water was all glittery and shiny. And Mr. Sutter said, well, what's that? And it turned out that it was gold. That Sutter's sawmill area, that whole area was just full of gold, like the kind that's untouched. You just walk around and you just pick it up. At first, people were like, no. But then it was proven. And he said that a straggler came in from the American Fork bringing a piece of yellow ore weighing an ounce. The young dashed the dirt from their eyes and the old from their spectacles. One brought a spyglass, another an iron ladle. Some wanted to melt it, others wanted to hammer it. A few were satisfied with smelling it. All were full of tests, and many who could not be gratified in making their experiments declared it a humbug. But eventually it proved to be true. And so when people found out about this, all were off for the mine, some on horses, some on carts, some on crutches. One went in a litter. An American woman who had recently established a boarding house here pulled up stakes and was off before her lodgers had even time to pay their bills. Debtors went, of course. I have only a community of women left and a gang of prisoners, with here and there a soldier who will give his captain the slip at the first chance. People just left. They left their everything. They would just leave all their stuff behind and just go. And it was an interesting time in history for sure. Bizarre things that happened during the gold rush, another thing that you can read, but the one thing I wanted to talk about is bull versus bear fights. So the gold miners would instigate bull versus bear fights. I just want you to absorb that for a second. Okay. There's some other stuff too. Man finds gold nugget while digging a grave. All right, here we have some more photos. These are of the Klondike Gold Rush, what we're talking about right now. And I'll let you go through the pictures, but the thing I wanted to show you is this. So this was like this was called Chilkoot Pass, and this was how you got there. You had to go up over this. You could go up other places, but this was the lowest, easiest place. And so sort of a ad hoc town of tents grew up at the bottom, and they also would slam the people coming in, like $20 for a bag of potatoes or whatever. I mean, I'm not sure what exactly they bought. There's like a whole list of things that they had to get. But this looks a lot to me like a woman, wouldn't you say? So there's pictures for you to enjoy. Cool pictures. Now we're going to get into long reads, and I am not going to read them to you, but I'm going to skim the highlights. And there's this guy, and he went up to a reporter and he said, "Do you want to see something that I found on the bottom of the ocean with my camera?" And the reporter says, "Okay, you are making me nervous. Can you guess what this is? Drugs? No, not drugs. What color is it? Yellow? Treasure? This is something big, so we should talk about it at the dock. The Fisherman's Secret, a modern-day treasure hunt." I was absolutely captivated by this guy's story, and I wish I had $1 billion so I could help him get his treasure up from the bottom of the ocean. I do. Is a secret gold mine hidden in the BC mountains? This treasure hunter says so. So this guy has spent 10 years chasing a legend called Slumax Gold. But before you think he's completely crazy, hundreds of people have died looking for it, which is said to be worth billions. Not hundreds of people. Several people have died trying to find it. Hundreds have gone to try to find it. But he found where the cabin was, the original cabin, and he found the mining tools, and he found a jar full of gold. So he has possibly come across Slumax camp. Therefore, Slumax Gold can't be too far behind. And the reporter accompanies him. There's a 2-minute little movie that you can watch. These guys have written some books about it. Is it a hoax? Is it not a hoax? Another good read. Mine's Dirty Secrets echo on 3 continents. This would be India, Tanzania, and Guatemala. We talked about exploitation concessions. This is an article about what happens. And it's a little tough to read. And, here in America, we complain a lot, and for sure there's a lot to complain about, but we are not so desperate that we're just randomly climbing fences with nothing and risk getting shot to climb a hill to find possibly a very tiny sliver of gold. Something to think about. I'll leave that for you to read. How secret gold mines are tearing the Ivory Coast apart. So Ivory Coast is currently basically being run by the army. It's not going so great. And there's this secret mine, and the people that monitor these kinds of things, like internationally, are like, "Hey, you got a mine." And the army's like, "No, we don't have a mine." The warlord's like, "I ain't got a mine." And they're like, "Yes, you do. You got a mine." But because it's so war-torn and so rough there, it's not like you can just pop in there and see what's going on. It's complete chaos. So the guy says, "I don't know how we're going to sort this out." Mining is backbreaking and dangerous. Miners and local villagers told Reuters that dozens of bodies, victims of regular cave-ins, are buried in unmarked graves beneath nearby coffee trees. Others have been left in the rubble at the bottom of pits, some of which cut down 60 meters into the earth. So the UN panel, which is trying to get sanctions and an arms embargo against these guys, is talking about sort of a little bit more about the politics, which is a little bit more complicated than I could just go in here. But the long and short of it is, they're taking advantage of their people, and they're using these ill-gotten goods for funding wars, basically. Okay, this is about the Civil War. After a witness told the treasure hunters that work had continued throughout the night, Heath writes, they came to what felt like an inescapable conclusion that right under their noses, the FBI had dug up and stolen away the buried gold of Dent's Run. This has like a quick kind of blurb that you could read. But the treasure hunters allege the FBI made off with Civil War era gold. So the FBI either lied to a federal judge about having video of a secretive 2018 dig for Civil War era gold, or illegally destroyed the video to prevent a father-son team of treasure hunters from gaining access to it. An attorney for the duo asserted in new legal filings that allege a government cover-up. Very interesting story. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. It's fascinating. the twists and turns that these things take. This is NPR. I think there's a thing you can listen to. No, maybe not this one. Maybe another one. This is a Reddit conversation about it, which I put here because it sort of summarizes things. And then through reading the comments, you can sort of get a deeper idea, a deeper feel, because they're bullet points. They're people saying, well, what about this? What about that? And they're from people who know what they're talking about, unlike me. I'm just sort of coming up with stuff here that I think people will enjoy. Okay, we're closing in on the last half here, which we're going to speed run through. And we have the Lost Guadalupe Mine. Here's a wonderful video you can watch. The story is told several times in John D. Mitchell's treasure hunting books that he wrote. So John D. Mitchell, if you are from the 70s, wrote those really big, thick books that said things on the cover like Hawaii, and it was like all about Hawaii, and it was the generations of family that lived there and the geology, and it would be told over a long span of time. And it told the history not just of the people, but of the area he was writing about too. So Mitchell's story says the mine is located 1 league from the gates of the mission to the southwest. Another mine is mentioned in the story called Tumakori Mine, which holds a copper chest with church artifacts and a map of all the mines in the area. It is supposed to lie close to Tumakori Peak. It was also covered up. So this is another cover-up. The secret pre-Hispanic mine in Taxco, the Chontal, hid this mine from the Spanish, and it was discovered in 2013. Can you believe that? 2013. This is a huge story. But there was a mine that we found in 2013. The mine has silver, lead, zinc, gold, pyrite, iron, quartz, and rose quartz. And initially, you could only get into it by rappelling, but now it's been sort of adjusted. It's been adjusted so that tourists can go down and check it out. This is a story, a longer story about the mine. And here are some pictures I wanted to show you. So some of the stuff that you're seeing is original to the mine, and obviously other things are added, like clearly this is underground and not part of the original mine. La Mina. Very cool. I dig it. All right. The never-ending Hawaiian lawsuit and the search for Yamashita's gold. A tale of treasure, torture, and crime across 8 decades. Fantastic read. Very long, though. We're going to keep it moving. Yamashita's gold has been found, and it's not what you think. So this guy says that the Filipino people have been searching for treasure in every era. In every era, it changes. The treasure's here. Oh, the treasure's here. Oh, my grandma said the treasure's there. And so this guy is saying that there isn't treasure in the Philippines because the Filipino people just tell stories and don't actually know anything about a treasure, and that it's a misguided search. I don't know. That sounds a little racist to me. In every story, there's a kernel of truth. I think there probably is some gold somewhere. And it says that the oldest myth is the lost treasure of Limahong, a 16th century Chinese pirate who is said to have buried his loot somewhere in Pangasinan. Ta-da! I think there's probably gold in the Philippines. This goes into a little bit more. The strange secret history of Operation Goldfinger. In the 60s, the U.S. ran a secret project to look for gold in the oddest places. Seawater, meteorites, plants, and even deer antlers. True story. The Lost Dutchman Mine. The History Channel did like a thing with these 2 guys, I think, who were, or maybe it was a team of guys, but they were looking for the Lost Dutchman Mine. And there was a series, I think it was only 1 season, and it was about them looking for the Dutchman Mine. And I think at the end of the day, they only found more intriguing clues that it actually existed, but no proof of its actual existence. Fascinating stuff, though. This talks about the Peralta mine, and it's intriguing. The world's largest gold discoveries. This goes into the largest gold discoveries for you to read. The one I want to point out is that. Now, this is actually photoshopped to put this guy in the picture because he's the one who discovered it. But this is the actual size of the rock, and I'll show you. So that's the Photoshop picture. This is the original picture. And so they took a picture of him doing this, and then I think they did a pretty good job. So this talks about him, and he had this stained glass window put in his house. He bought this really big mansion, and he had this put in his house. I think that's really cool. That's like a baller move. This is a copy. They painted this regular rock with colors. I think it's dumb. That's his mansion. Anyway, he got very rich. Piercing the mystery of the cosmic origins of gold. This is the science of how gold is made. It's a little dense. Gold in space. There's an asteroid not too far from Earth that has 700 quintillion, $700 quintillion worth of gold. So it's called 16 Psyche. It's an asteroid. It's hanging out between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. It's not the biggest one, but 700 quintillion, which is an amount that my brain can't wrap itself around. Does all the gold in the universe come from stars? In a remote galaxy, 2 neutron stars circled one another in a ballet of ultimate destruction and inevitable creation. Both objects were the remnants of massive stars, probably from a binary system that had become supernovae long before. Each was incredibly massive, with neutrons so closely packed that their cores became diamond. The dance, alas, could not go on forever, and the stars collided, releasing unimaginable energy and sending gravitational waves speeding through the fabric of space-time. So then there was an article released about this. The gravity waves were discovered in 2017. Everybody got excited because it proved some stuff that Einstein said. And then, as an aside in the story, the scientists said, "Hey, when neutron stars collide, they create gold. They create heavy elements like gold." I think they said they create heavy elements like gold, and the media said, "Huh?" And that's the part that they kind of keyed into, but it's true. You can read about it. So colliding stars created gold. The search for secrets of elusive dark matter takes scientists deep into an Aussie gold mine. So there's a gold mine. It's done, no longer a gold mine, but it's being used to look for elusive dark matter because it's shielded from radio waves, cosmic rays, whatever. Not neutrinos, though. Aliens love gold as much as humans do. So it's suggested that that aliens are using gold right now and that they love gold because gold is a wonderful conductor of electricity, a perfect reflector of infrared energy. You can use gold blankets to protect spacecraft. One of the most famous alien visitations is supposed to have occurred in Cusco, Peru. The Sun Temple, Corichana, had a giant golden disc that some alien experts believe was a symbol of gold-plated UFO that had landed in front of the Incan Emperor Atahualpa, legendary for having direct contact with the sky gods. Other theorists go even further, claiming that the Great Pyramid of Giza is an ancient reactor that the aliens used to make gold. But independently from whether you believe in aliens, ancient temples and mausoleums are like giant repositories for old scientists that have been lost. And these sciences can remind us that our ancestors were not only concerned with the environment and the planet, but also believed that survival was dependent on having a deep understanding of our solar system. And then it kind of goes off into the stars, and it talks about the Superman movie for some reason. neat to think about. So what we're going to do to finish off is I am going to play some music and I'm going to scroll through some vintage portraits of some prospectors, which are very good, and I'm going to scroll through some of this art for you to enjoy. So here we go. No, really, here we go.